Hey there, teacher. Today we're going to be talking about driveline angles, what they are, why they're important, and what can happen when they're not set correctly. Driveline angles might sound complicated, but they're a key part of keeping a vehicle smooth, quiet, and reliable, especially in trucks and rear-wheel driven vehicles.
Alright, so what are driveline angles? Let's start with what the driveline actually is. So the driveline is the system that connects the transmission to the rear differential. It includes the drive shaft, U-joints, and sometimes a carrier bearing if it's a two-piece shaft. Now most vehicles don't have the transmission and the differential lined up perfectly straight, and there's always a little bit of an angle between them just because of how the suspension and the frame are designed, and that's where the driveline angles come in. So there's three main angles. There's the transmission angle, the drive shaft angle, and the pinion angle. The relationship between those three is what determines how smoothly the drive shaft can rotate. The U-joints at each end allow the drive shaft to spin even when things aren't perfectly straight, but they only work right when the angles are balanced. So in a perfect setup, the transmission angle and the pinion angle are equal and opposite, like a mirror image, and that keeps the drive shaft spinning evenly without causing extra movement or vibration.
When your driveline angles are correct, everything spins in harmony. The U-joints move smoothly, the power transfers efficiently from the transmission to the differential. Think of it like this. If your driveline is aligned properly, your drive shaft basically spins like a straight arrow. But if the angles are off, it starts wobbling, like a bent arrow flying through the air. That wobble turns into a vibration. It can cause noise, wear, and even make your vehicle feel rough when you accelerate and at higher speeds. The worse the vibration gets, proper driveline angles keep everything balanced. That means less stress on the U-joints, bearings, and seals. The better overall performance, it's also safer because it prevents parts from wearing out earlier or even failing while you're driving. And that's why whenever you modify a suspension, like lifting or lowering a truck, you have to think about your driveline geometry. Even a few degrees off can create big problems.
Alright, so what happens when angles are wrong? So what happens if those angles aren't right? The most common symptom is vibration, that buzzing or shaking feeling while you're accelerating. Those vibrations happen because the U-joints are speeding up and slowing down twice per revolution instead of staying constant. So basically they're not spinning evenly, so you get a kind of a pulsing effect. And over time that uneven motion starts to cause wear. U-joints can wear out fast, and bearings can get noisy, and seals might start leaking. You might even hear clunking noises when shifting or taking off. And in really bad cases, a misaligned driveline can bend or break parts. Drive shafts actually have come apart from excessive vibration, and it's not just annoying, it can be very dangerous. And another thing people don't realize is that bad angles can also waste power. The driveline ends up working harder to deliver the same torque, which means more heat and less efficiency. So yeah, driveline angles might seem small, but they can make or break your whole vehicle.
Driveline angles might not be something most people think about, but they play a huge role in how the vehicle drives. Keeping them in specs prevents vibration, reduces wear, and keeps your drivetrain reliable. Whether it's a lifted truck, a stock, daily driver, performance car, If you ever feel a weird vibration after changing your suspension or swapping parts, it's worth checking out those angles before assuming something's broken. In the end, it's all about balance. When the driveline angles are right, the power flows smooth. The parts last longer and your ride just feels better.